It's funny how betrayal doesn't always come with thunder and lightning. Sometimes, it comes with a polite text message that simply says, "We need to talk." And sometimes, the man you thought you'd spend your life with walks into that meeting room, eyes full of guilt, while his secretary stands quietly behind him looking at you like he's already taken your place. Ethan never expected heartbreak to feel this neat. No yelling, no broken glasses, just silence thick enough to drown in. Liam, his lover of 4 years, sat across from him at the long glass conference table. The CEO everyone in New York admired, confident, ruthless, charismatic. But right now, that same man couldn't meet Ethan's eyes. "I didn't mean for this to happen," Liam said softly, his voice barely above the hum of the city outside. "It just did." Ethan gave a small laugh, dry and humorless. "You didn't mean to sleep with your secretary?" A sharp exhale. The secretary, a pretty omega named Aaron, looked down at his shoes, guilt painted across his face like a confession. Liam's hand twitched as if he wanted to reach out, but Ethan's stare froze him mid-motion. "No," Ethan said quietly. "Don't. I'm not that kind of fool who needs your pity." He stood, buttoning his jacket with steady hands. He'd spent years loving this man, building him up, cleaning his messes, staying through the long nights when work came first and love came second. And now it all ended in a conference room that smelled like betrayal and cologne. When Ethan left the building, the wind felt cold against his face, but he didn't cry. A week later, Manhattan was glowing in early winter light. Ethan moved into a smaller apartment downtown, overlooking the Hudson. It was quiet, cozy, and lonely in a peaceful way. He'd taken a leave from his PR job, turned off notifications, and tried to remember what his life felt like before Liam. Then came the calls. Dozens of them. Missed calls, voicemails, texts. Liam's name flashing over and over. "Ethan, please, can we talk? I made a mistake. Please don't shut me out." He didn't answer, because what was there left to say? 3 weeks later, Ethan found himself at a charity gala, the kind of event where every glass of champagne tasted like gossip and every smile hid sharp teeth. He'd been invited by his boss, who insisted it was good for appearances. And there he was, Liam, looking every bit the perfect CEO, black suit, perfect tie, eyes scanning the room until they locked on Ethan. For a second, the world seemed to still. Ethan took a sip of champagne, pretending not to notice. But Liam was already walking toward him, his stride confident yet desperate in its undertone. "Ethan," he breathed when he reached him. "You look amazing." Ethan gave a polite smile. "Thank you. You look the same, like a man who gets what he wants." Liam flinched, but he didn't back away. "I deserved that." "Oh, you deserve a lot more than that," Ethan said, voice calm but cutting. "But I'm not here to deliver justice." There was a pause, long, heavy, filled with the sound of a jazz band playing somewhere behind them. Liam's throat worked as he swallowed. "I ended things with Aaron." "Congratulations," Ethan said dryly. "Would you like me to send flowers?" "Don't do that," Liam murmured, stepping closer. His cologne, the same scent that once lingered on Ethan's pillow, hit him like a ghost. "I know I hurt you. I was scared. I thought I needed something new, someone who wouldn't challenge me. But I was wrong." "You were always—" Ethan cut him off, voice low. "Stop. You don't get to romanticize your betrayal." The words hit hard. Liam's shoulders dropped. For the first time, he looked like the man Ethan remembered in the quiet hours, stripped of ego. Just a boy who wanted to be loved right, but didn't know how to hold it. "Ethan," he whispered. "Please, I can't lose you." Ethan looked at him for a long moment. And then, instead of anger, something softer, almost pity, flickered across his face. "You already did." He walked away, leaving Liam standing alone in the middle of the ballroom, surrounded by glittering lights and strangers, looking like a man who had everything but lost the one thing that mattered. That night, Liam didn't sleep. His penthouse felt too big, too quiet, the bed too cold. He found himself scrolling through old photos. Ethan's smile, his sleepy morning face, the way he'd always brewed coffee for two even when Liam left early. It wasn't just guilt that filled him. It was fear. Fear that this time Ethan wouldn't come back. He showed up at Ethan's apartment the next morning, hair disheveled, eyes tired. When Ethan opened the door, he looked more surprised than angry. "Liam, I just need 5 minutes," Liam said, voice breaking slightly. "Please." Ethan hesitated, then stepped aside. The apartment smelled like coffee and vanilla candles, small, intimate, nothing like the sterile perfection of Liam's penthouse. Liam looked around. "You've made a home." "I always knew how," Ethan said simply. Liam flinched again. "Ethan, I don't expect forgiveness. But I need you to know. I'm sorry. For all of it. For being a coward. For choosing comfort over love. For hurting you when all you ever did was believe in me." Ethan studied him quietly. Then he smiled, soft, bittersweet. "I believe you," he said. Liam's breath caught. "You do? Yes. I believe you're sorry. But that doesn't mean I owe you anything." And just like that, a calm acceptance. No tears, no drama. Just peace. That scared Liam more than anger ever could. Because anger meant there was still love hidden underneath. But peace? Peace meant it was over. Liam couldn't breathe. Not because Ethan had yelled or slammed the door, hadn't. It was because of the quiet. That terrifying quiet that told him Ethan had already walked past the point of no return. When the door closed behind him, Liam stood there for a full minute, staring at the polished wood as if it could open again if he just willed it. But it didn't. He left eventually, his chest aching in a way he didn't recognize. Regret wasn't supposed to feel like this. He'd thought saying sorry would fix things. He thought Ethan would cry, maybe slap him, yell, do something. Anything was better than that calm, heartbreaking acceptance. That night, Liam sat alone in his car outside Ethan's building until the streetlights flickered off one by one. Days turned into weeks. Liam went through the motions: board meetings, phone calls, networking dinners, but his focus was gone. His assistant whispered about how distracted he seemed. Even Aaron, now working in a different department, avoided his gaze. He had everything he wanted on paper: power, wealth, freedom. But the one thing that had grounded him, Ethan's quiet presence, was gone. The world that once revolved around Liam now spun wildly without purpose. Ethan, on the other hand, was rediscovering himself. He started running in the mornings again, something he hadn't done in years. The chill of winter air against his skin felt like freedom. He met old friends for coffee, laughed genuinely for the first time in months, and took freelance work that allowed him to choose his projects, his time. He was healing, slowly but truly. Yet sometimes, late at night, he would catch himself scrolling through old messages, Liam's dumb jokes, their photos from Napa Valley, the way Liam had once looked at him like he was the only thing that mattered. And for a fleeting moment, Ethan's chest tightened. Then he would remind himself, some people love you deeply, but not right. 2 months passed before their paths crossed again. The annual corporate charity gala, the same event that had once been their favorite to attend together. Ethan went only because his new client, a publishing company, insisted on his presence. He just arrived, wearing a sleek black suit and an easy smile, when a familiar voice called his name. "Ethan." He turned and there was Liam. Something in Ethan's chest shifted. Liam looked different. The sharp, polished CEO exterior was still there, but there were cracks now. His tie was a little crooked, his eyes darker from sleepless nights. "Liam." Ethan's tone was polite, but his expression gave nothing away. "I didn't expect to see you here," Liam said, hands tucked nervously into his pockets, a rare gesture of vulnerability for someone who once commanded every room he walked into. "I was invited," Ethan replied, sipping his drink. "You? Board obligations." "But..." Liam hesitated. "I was hoping you'd be here." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Why?" Liam exhaled, the weight of months crashing in his voice. "Because I can't stand how we left things. Because I wake up every day thinking about the look on your face that day in your apartment. Because I've spent the last 8 weeks realizing that I built a world around everything except what mattered most." Ethan said nothing. His face remained unreadable, but his heart stirred. Liam continued, stepping closer, lowering his voice. "I was a coward, Ethan. You were the only person who ever challenged me, who saw through the walls I built. And instead of protecting you, I pushed you away the moment you loved me enough to see my flaws. For a second, Ethan's mask cracked. The pain, the longing, all of it flickered across his face before he smoothed it away. I'm glad you've realized that, he said quietly. Liam swallowed. That's it. What else do you want me to say? That you still love me. Ethan looked at him, really looked at him. The man who had once been his home now looked like a stranger wearing grief like a suit. I did love you, Ethan said. I probably always will in some small, foolish way. But love isn't enough when trust is gone. Liam's composure cracked. His voice trembled as he whispered, Then what can I do? Ethan gave a sad smile. Maybe nothing. Maybe that's the point. After that night, Liam tried everything. He sent flowers that Ethan didn't accept. He wrote long emails he never sent. He stood outside Ethan's building more times than he could count, never daring to knock. And still, Ethan lived his life not untouched, but unbroken. Then one day, fate or irony brought them together again. This time not at a gala but in a hospital corridor. Ethan's best friend, Leo, had been in a car accident. He was stable, but Ethan had rushed there, pale and shaking. The hospital was crowded with reporters and executives. Leo worked at a media company under one of Liam's subsidiaries. When Liam saw Ethan walking through the corridor, his chest tightened. He was there for business, to oversee internal support and PR, but all logic fled the moment he saw him. Ethan, he called softly. Ethan turned, exhausted but calm. Liam, what are you doing here? I heard about Leo, Liam said. He's part of our PR network. I came to help manage things. Of course you did, Ethan said dryly, folding his arms. You always manage things, don't you? Liam didn't rise to the bait. He simply nodded. I just wanted to make sure you were okay. Ethan blinked, surprised. Me? Yes, you, Liam said. You look tired. Ethan huffed out a breath. He's my friend, Liam. Of course I'm tired. There was silence between them. The kind that stretched too long. The kind that carried everything unspoken. Then softly, Liam said, You don't have to do everything alone, you know? Ethan's throat tightened because those were words Liam had never said before. Back when they were together, Liam had been the kind of man who believed weakness was a flaw, who had expected Ethan to always stand strong, even when breaking inside. People who break you don't get to be the ones to hold you after, Ethan murmured, voice trembling. Liam nodded slowly. I know, but if someday you find it in yourself to let someone hold you again, I hope it's me. Ethan looked away, blinking rapidly. Don't do this here. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Liam said. Just the chance to show you that I learned what love actually means. He turned and walked away before Ethan could respond. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He replayed Liam's words in his head over and over. He'd wanted closure, not confusion. Yet somehow, Liam's sincerity, quiet, raw, stripped of ego, left him shaken. Maybe people could change. Maybe Liam really had. But could he risk being hurt again? Ethan didn't have the answer. A few weeks later, Ethan got an unexpected email. From Liam, heart subject. For what it's worth, Ethan, I don't expect a reply. I just wanted you to know that I meant what I said. I'm leaving the company next month. I'm moving to Seattle to start something smaller, something real. I've spent too long chasing success that never filled the silence you left behind. If you ever want to see me even once, you'll find me there. No pressure. No expectations. Just hope. Liam. Ethan read it 3 times, his chest tightening with every word. Liam was actually leaving. The man who had built an empire was walking away from it for what? Redemption? Peace? Love? He didn't know. But something inside Ethan stirred, the same part of him that had once believed in second chances. He closed his laptop and leaned back, staring at the ceiling. He hated that he cared. He hated that despite everything, the idea of never seeing Liam again hurt more than it should have. 2 months later, spring came to the city. Ethan was in Seattle on a work trip, ironic, almost poetic. The city was misty and cool, with pine trees that smelled like rain. His client meetings ended early, leaving him with a free afternoon. And somehow, his feet led him downtown to a quiet corner cafe called Mara's. Through the window he saw him, Liam, wearing a gray sweater instead of a suit, hair a little longer, sleeves rolled up as he helped a barista carry boxes. He looked different, softer, human. Ethan stood frozen, hand on the door, heart racing. He could walk away, pretend he never saw him, live his life without reopening old wounds. Or he could take a breath, open the door, and see what remained. Ethan pushed the door open. The small bell chimed. Liam turned. For a second, time stood still. Then his eyes widened, and something in his face broke disbelief. Hope, love, all tangled together. Ethan? His voice trembled. Ethan managed a faint smile. You're really bad at disappearing, you know that? Liam laughed shaky, nervous, so human. Guess I didn't try hard enough. Ethan stepped closer, the air thick with everything unsaid. You look different. So do you, Liam whispered. Happier. I am, Ethan said softly. But I think part of that comes from letting go of anger. Liam nodded, eyes glistening. And maybe part of mine comes from learning how to hold on the right way this time. They stood there in silence, sunlight filtering through the window, the sound of the espresso machine humming quietly in the background. Liam took a small step forward. Can I buy you a coffee? Ethan smiled, a real one, the kind he hadn't worn around Liam in years. You can try, he said, and for the first time in a long, long while, they both laughed, not as CEO and lover, not as betrayer and betrayed, but as two people standing at the edge of something new. The cafe smelled like roasted coffee beans and rain-soaked pavement. A quiet tune played in the background, some acoustic song about second chances, and Ethan wasn't sure if the universe was mocking him or gently nudging him forward. He sat across from Liam, both of them holding warm mugs but too nervous to drink. The sunlight through the window washed Liam's face in gold, softening the hard edges Ethan remembered. So, Ethan said finally, breaking the silence. You really left it all behind. Liam nodded. Yeah. I sold my shares, stepped down. Everyone thought I was crazy. Maybe you were. Liam smiled faintly. Probably. But after losing you, everything else felt pointless. Ethan looked down at his cup, fingers tracing the rim. You used to say feelings were a distraction. I was wrong, Liam said quietly. You were never a distraction. You were the only thing that made all of it mean something. The words landed heavy, sincere, and unpolished. Ethan didn't reply right away. His heart felt tight, like something inside him was being stitched back together. Slowly, painfully. He finally looked up. You can't just show up and say all the right things now, Liam. I know, Liam said. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want to be someone worthy of being forgiven. Ethan studied him, the small tremor in his hand, the nervous glance, the absence of arrogance. The man sitting before him wasn't the same alpha CEO who had broken his heart in that glass office. He was smaller somehow, real. Over the next hour, they talked about the company, about the people they used to know, about Seattle's endless rain and how it reminded them both of the winter they met. Ethan learned that Liam had opened the cafe with a few old college friends. He'd invested in local shelters, volunteered at youth centers. He was trying to live quietly, meaningfully, as if he'd spent years running and finally stopped. Why coffee? Ethan asked, half teasing. Liam chuckled. You once told me love should feel like a slow brew, not instant. I didn't get it then, but I think I do now. Ethan froze for a second, then laughed softly. You remembered that? I remember everything, Liam said simply. Something in his tone, gentle, almost reverent, made Ethan's throat tighten. He wasn't ready to forgive him, but maybe, for the first time, he didn't want to leave either. When Ethan finally stood to go, Liam walked him to the door. Can I see you again? Liam asked, voice barely above a whisper. Ethan hesitated. We'll see. Liam smiled sadly. I'll take that. Days turned into weeks again, but this time, The silence between them wasn't final. Ethan stayed in Seattle for work longer than planned, and somehow, without deciding to, he started visiting the cafe more often. At first, it was casual coffee to go, polite conversation. Then, slowly, the visits stretched longer. They started talking about movies, about books Ethan liked, about the future neither of them had figured out yet. Liam never pushed. He just showed up. Every time. Always respectful, always patient. One evening, Ethan came in after a long day. The sky was gray, the kind that promised rain. The cafe was empty except for Liam wiping down tables. "Rough day?" Liam asked gently. Ethan sighed, sitting at the counter. "A client rejected my campaign. Said it was too emotional." "Funny, right?" Liam smiled softly. "Maybe they're scared of feeling too much. Like someone I used to know." Liam chuckled. "Yeah, he's working on that." Ethan glanced at him, unable to stop the small smile that crept onto his face. Liam hesitated for a moment, then slid a cup of coffee toward him, a familiar blend. Ethan blinked. "You remembered my favorite." "Of course." Liam's eyes softened. "Hazelnut, light milk, 2 sugars. You used to say it tasted like comfort." Ethan looked down at the cup, fingers brushing the warm ceramic. "You really did change, didn't you?" Liam leaned against the counter, his voice quiet but steady. "I didn't change to win you back. I changed because losing you showed me what I'd become." The words hung between them, raw and real. Ethan met his eyes. "And what did you become?" "Lonely," Liam admitted, "and ashamed. I realized love isn't about being chosen, it's about choosing someone. Every day. I failed at that." Ethan's heart twisted. "You can't fix the past, Liam." "No," Liam said softly. "But maybe we can build something new." Ethan looked at him, really looked. The man who once broke his heart now stood before him. Not begging, not pretending, just hoping. And for the first time, Ethan didn't feel anger. He felt something warmer. Something that scared him in a completely different way. Spring melted into summer. Ethan extended his stay in Seattle, taking on a local project. He and Liam grew close again, not lovers. Not yet, but something delicate and in between. They shared walks along the waterfront, dinners with friends, small moments filled with quiet understanding. One evening, they found themselves on the cafe's rooftop after closing, watching the city lights shimmer against the night. The air smelled like rain and jasmine. Liam stood beside Ethan, both of them leaning against the railing. "You ever think about New York?" Liam asked. "Sometimes," Ethan said, "but it feels distant, like a place where someone else lived." Liam nodded. "I feel that too." They stood in silence. Then, without looking at him, Liam said, "I still love you." Ethan's heart skipped. Liam continued, voice trembling. "I know it's too soon. Maybe it's too late. But it's the truth. I love you, not the idea of you, not the memory you. As you are now." Ethan's breath caught. The words weren't desperate or manipulative this time. They were calm, honest, a confession from a man who finally understood what love was supposed to be. Ethan turned to face him. The city lights painted Liam's eyes with gold and shadow. "I'm scared," Ethan whispered. "What if we ruin it again?" Liam reached out slowly, letting his fingers brush Ethan's hand a touch, asking for permission, not taking it. "Then we learn from it," he said softly. "But I'd rather risk breaking with you than live safe without you." Ethan felt his chest ache. For years, he'd waited for words like that, not promises of perfection, but of effort. He looked down at their hands, fingers barely touching, and for the first time he didn't pull away. They didn't rush it. Days turned into weeks, and the fragile thread between them strengthened. They went to farmers' markets on Sundays, cooked together, watched bad movies until midnight. There were moments of laughter and moments of awkward silence, but underneath it all there was peace. One night, Ethan woke up to rain tapping on the window. Liam was beside him, asleep, arm draped lightly across Ethan's waist. For a moment, Ethan just looked at him, the man who had once shattered his heart now breathing quietly against his skin. The old hurt was still there, buried deep, but it no longer owned him. He realized something then. Forgiveness wasn't about erasing pain. It was about deciding that real love was worth more than pride. Ethan turned slightly, pressing a kiss to Liam's forehead. Liam stirred, eyes opening sleepily. "Hey!" he mumbled, voice rough. "Hey!" Ethan whispered back. Liam smiled faintly. "You okay?" Ethan nodded. "Yeah, I think I finally am." Liam's fingers tightened around his hand, and in the soft glow of dawn, everything felt right again, not perfect, not easy, but right. Months later, the cafe was thriving. Ethan's marketing work had helped it grow into a beloved neighborhood spot. The two of them worked side by side most days, laughing, arguing playfully, sometimes stealing quiet moments when no one was watching. Their friends joked that they were like an old married couple. Maybe they were. One evening, as the sun dipped below the skyline, Liam called Ethan out to the patio. The sky blazed with orange and pink, and the city hummed softly in the distance. Ethan stepped outside, drying his hands on a towel. "What's up?" Liam turned to him, eyes steady. "I've been thinking," he said slowly, "about everything we've been through, and I realized something." Ethan tilted his head. "What?" Liam took his hand, holding it gently. "I don't want to spend another day pretending I'm not still falling for you." Ethan laughed softly, shaking his head. "You never stopped." "Neither did you," Liam murmured. Ethan met his gaze, and this time, there was no hesitation. He leaned in and kissed him. It wasn't desperate like before. Not a plea or an apology, it was calm, warm, steady. The kind of kiss that felt like coming home. When they finally pulled apart, Ethan whispered, "Don't make me regret this." Liam smiled, brushing a thumb across his cheek. "Not this time." As the evening deepened, they stood together, watching the last light fade behind the horizon. Ethan leaned into Liam's shoulder, breathing in the quiet contentment of the moment. He thought about everything that had happened, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the months of distance, and realized it had led them here. To a place where love wasn't about possession or perfection, but choice. Every day they chose each other, even when it was hard, even when it hurt, especially then. Weeks later, a friend asked Ethan if he ever regretted forgiving Liam. Ethan smiled. "No, because sometimes forgiveness doesn't mean saying it's okay. It means saying I'm okay." He glanced across the cafe, where Liam was laughing with a customer, sunlight spilling across his face. Ethan turned back to his friend and added quietly, "And I am." The wind outside carried the scent of rain and roasted coffee. Inside, two men stood side by side, one making cappuccinos, the other adjusting a sign that read "Open." It wasn't the grand love story of the movies. It was something better, real, imperfect, human. And for Ethan and Liam, that was more than enough. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.